rip through this stuff as quickly as we can. So right now we have a get axis vector. Our goal is to split these two axes out. It's going to be way easier to do a get axis. So let me see if I can get a little more screen real estate here. There's no drop-down menu for this axis name. These are things that Unity references in its input, and I'll show you those in just a moment. But I want to pull out the horizontal axis. Okay, and you'll notice that when I type in horizontal, it's case sensitive, can't have any typos because it's referring to basically a variable. You think of it kind of like a variable. So I'm just going up here to check my spelling, make sure I got it right. And I'm going to do another get axis, and I'm going to call this capital vertical. Okay, so I got the horizontal and the vertical isolated. I'm going to turn off this get axis vector, and I'm going to collapse the action. And I'll basically just kind of recreate what I did down here in two separate actions. So the first get axis, the axis name is vertical that we're capturing. I'm going to take the multiplier, which I kind of liked how things worked out. So 50 I'll say I'll start with. And this really takes some dialing in. I'm going to add my multiplier to change it to 50. So that's how much basically force gets translated. And I'm going to store this in a new variable. Now this is not a vector variable, this is a float. This is one part, 1/3 of a vector 3. So I'm going to call this player forward, because it's forward axis or it's forward direction. Okay, and again, this is storing a float, just one. Down here we had 3 floats that were strung together to create the vector 3, and now we're just getting one aspect of that. So we're getting and in horizontal, I'm going to estimate. I don't know how much torque I'm going to need, but I'll say 20. And I'm going to create a new variable and call this player torque. You can call it rotate, but you never want to rotate a physics-based object when it has a rigid body that's not kinematic. So we'll use torque instead. So these are just variables that are getting captured, but I'm going to test this. I'm going to hit the play button. My tank's not going to move. But when I hold my forward button down, I get positive 50 down here. And when I hold it, go backwards, I get negative 50. When I hold down the left key or right key, I'm getting positive and negative 20. Okay? So again, this multiplier you can think of as, I'm going to take this variable and use it as force or torque. So this is effectively the amount of torque or force in the positive or negative that we're going to add. Okay? So I'm going to borrow this add force. I'm not using the vector. I could keep it there because it won't register as anything, but I only want to use the z-axis of this object. And I'll set it as player forward. Okay? So I'm picking up the forward input of 50, positive 50 or negative 50, or anything in between, and applying it every frame to add force along the z. So I should get the forward-backward movement that I had before. I'm hitting the up-down button, and you can see I'm not getting any input. And this is a good thing. It's because my game view doesn't have mouse focus. I was over here clicking on stuff. But if I click inside the game window, I'm still not getting it. Oh, well, that explains it. Let's see, what's going on here? There we go. Got to use the right keys, first of all. Okay. So I'm getting that forward, backwards. So again, I'm translating this get axis vertical to the z force. Now, right now, this is moving in world space. The force is moving in world space. And just to demonstrate that, if I go to my player and I go to my inspector, and I'll just rotate it along z a little bit, zoom in a little bit so you can see this. The way it's pointing, it doesn't matter right now because it's going to move in the direction of world space, which is not what we want. So it's moving in an absolute direction. What we want to do is we want to add force, not in world space, but it's in its own space. So in other words, when we're adding z force, we're adding z to the player axis, not the world axis. So that has everything to do with the direction of the z. So now that I've changed it to self space, okay, it moves in the direction that we're pointing. And that's a big, it's an important thing that we have to keep in mind. Okay? So the last thing I'm going to do is I'll resolve this horizontal input with a torque to get the tank to twist so I have some control over it. So I'm going to jump into actions. I'm looking for a physics-based action. I'm already capturing the user input, and I'll go to physics, and I'm looking for torque. Should be add torque. There it is. And again, torque is just a physics-based rotation. I'll run into a little bit of a glitch here. And my screen is way too small. Add force. Axis. Okay, it didn't add. So let me hit return. Something happened. There we go. So I'm taking the owner of the game object. I want to torque this thing or rotate it along what axis? Someone help me out here. Y. Thank you, Alex. So I'm going to take that Y and I'll add player torque to it. I'll do this every frame. In this case, it doesn't matter if it's world space because I don't anticipate this thing flipping around and turning over, so it's always going to be its up direction. But I'll mark it as self space anyway. Hit the play button. And let's see if we can get this thing to... Okay. It's getting a little weird in there, I think.
Is it me or is it starting to...
Yeah, it's getting weird. Okay, and so we're running into this issue, I suspect, of... I think we're conflicting with the children at this point. We have a body, a turret, and a barrel. And they are static objects, and this is why you don't ever want to mix and match physics-based objects and non-physics-based, or physics-based forces with non-physics-based objects. We get this real kind of weird... Basically what we're doing is we're trying to move the contents of the player, which are not rigid bodies, ultimately with force. Okay, and we don't want to move things with a transform that have a rigid body. But what we can do is we can do one of a couple of things. We can go into the body and add a rigid body, and then just set it to kinematic. And we'll do the same thing with the turret. Component, physics, rigid body. It'll kind of help them get things on the same page. And then finally, I'm going to go over to this barrel. And I just don't want the capsule collider on the barrel, because that's just for looks and just for kind of point of reference. So I think that should iron out the weirdness that I was having. Perfect. Look at that. What's going on here, folks? Someone help me out.
You're going through the ground, which means you need to put a rigid body on the ground.
Got one. We got a collider on the ground. We got a rigid body on the player. But we don't have a collider. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll add a collider, and that should fix that problem. So we'll do box collider. This box collider showed up a little bit smaller, so I'm just going to tweak it a little bit if I can find it. There it is. I'll take the size along Z. This is the box collider, and I'll just kind of get it roughly in place. Hit the play button and see if that takes care of it.
There you go.
I don't know. What I'm going to do is, for now, still getting some kind of conflict. So I think I have overlapping colliders. I'm sure that's what's going on. So I'm temporarily going to turn off the colliders for the turret and for the body. There we go. Okay, so I can drive around now. Now I'm a little slippery, right? So I got that same issue of when I'm rotating too fast, or I'm actually rotating at the right speed for now. I'm just not coming to rest as quickly, so what should I do? Someone help me out. It's in the rigid body, I'll give you that hint. Change the drag. Linear drag is the linear motion. We'll change the angular drag to something like maybe 0.5, and I'm guessing, I don't know. And so the way I'm going to test this is I'm going to spin it one way or another, and when I release my button, when it comes to a stop, I'm happy with it. Okay? So I'm going to toggle the play button, save what I have,